All right, how's it, everybody? It is 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. Hawaii time, and 8 p.m. on the East Coast. It looks like we've got Andre hanging out in the house. I forgot to mute my mic, so he got to hear all the clickety clacks and that behind the scenes sounds of things getting ready to get started. Absolutely. All right, super stoked that we're here today. For those of you who might be hanging out and paying attention to the notifications, you might have noticed I started streaming for a second and then I went offline and then I came back. And the reason I did that is when I first started streaming, I went to the Twitch channel, looked at the gear, found out that we did not have any adjustments available, and I said, that's unacceptable. My people need to have control of their situation. So I stopped the stream. I restarted again, fingers crossed that it ended up being with the adjustable gear, and lo and behold, we got the gear. So our tech check has been done. We are streaming at 1080, but if you cannot handle the 1080p, that's all right. Fiddle faddle with the little gear, downgrade your situation, and hopefully Twitch won't be so twitchy. It looks like we have got Andre in the house, Pocola T in the house, Kenny from the Cove saying hello, and Rick coming in 720p with gear tonight. We are actually, Rick, at 1080p from the source, but I know that you like to keep your stuff automatically locked down at 720 because that's what works for you, and that's exactly why I wanted to make sure that we had the gear, because I know that plenty folks have different situations that they're working with, and so we all gotta make it so everybody can get involved in the Statter Chatter Box crew, because we can't have a chatter show unless folks are here to be chattering. And it looks like Darlene is also here. Fantastic. We've got the dual punch of Rick and Darlene in the house. All right, so since our regular crew looks like they are all showing up, why don't we get this party started? Okay, there we go. Excelente. Yeah, all right. So, as Rick is saying to Kenny from the Cove, Kenny, yes, you were looking like the new sheriff in town today. On Kenny from the Cove's social medias, he posted a fancy pants picture of him with his black cowboy hat and a nice little vest. I would say that, though I don't know what is Kenny's Sunday best, I'd say that picture that he posted was darn close. Looking sharp today, Kenny, without a doubt. Thank you so much, Andre, for the 300 biddies, getting the party started. All right, so for those of you who ended up watching the stream that Shock had last night, I don't know what movie was shown, but I had to bow out of it, as most of you guys know. I had to take the night off from streaming Statterbox at the cinema because I actually did something that was kind of scary. I went out in public and things and stuff. I went to a bar, and some people were wearing masks and some people weren't, and there was no sign on the bar that said you had to wear a mask. So I didn't wear a mask even though I was inside, but I did the show that I went to it wasn't sold out, so there was plenty room for me not to sit near people. So I sat way near the back, which for a comedy show actually probably isn't very good. I could hear the comedian just fine, but the problem is, I realized after I got comfortable back there and didn't really want to move, he and she, they can't hear you laugh unless you're close enough, and the comedians really do want to hear you laugh, because there is nothing worse than dead air after you've paused for applause, paused for laughter type thing, right? So yeah, I think I did the comedians a little bit of a disservice, which was unfortunate. And I'll get more into the whole show in just a minute. But right now, I want to thank Kenny from the Cove for the 400 biddies. And Darlene, okay, you guys, you and Rick had to bow out of the movie as well because you had the grandkids, it sounds like. So, oh, right, helping celebrate the St. Patrick's Day birthday that also belongs to Darlene. And I'm going to guess, Darlene, it probably belongs to your sister too. Right, right. So did you and your sister do anything for your birthday? I'm curious. What with, being twins, I'm just going out on a limb here and thinking you might share a birthday. So let's see here, though. Darlene asks, was it a decent show, though? I did like it. It was clearly, there was definitely a kerfuffle in regards to the lineup. One of the people who I think might have, okay, first off, I wasn't familiar with any of these comedians. These are all very local comedians. And I went to the show for a couple reasons. First off, doesn't matter if you know a comedian or not, right? I mean, if they're going to be funny and make you laugh, well, then they're going to be funny and make you laugh. It's not like going to a band where you want to know the songs, I mean, so it's like comedians to me are a little more hit and miss or a little bit more flexible in the sense that you don't have to really know what you're getting into. Chances are you're going to probably get a giggle out of it at least once or twice. So I don't know who the headliner was supposed to be, but I'm 90% sure that the person who was the headliner wasn't supposed to be the headliner. One of the acts, there was like 4 people, and plus the host, one of the acts ended up getting into a car accident on the way to the venue, so he was not an option. And so because of that, they had to shuffle some stuff. So the guy who was the headliner, I felt so bad, and that guy, I'm telling you, man, he bombed, and he knew he bombed. He said it on stage. He's like, this is the worst night of my life. I can't believe, that blah, 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 blah. The crowd was not a good comedy crowd. Like, the people in the front rows, they were just talking the whole night through. And it was, and some of the acts were working with that knowledge and incorporating it into the act. Every single one of the comedians did point out very politely to the one chick especially that she was being rude and she really shouldn't be talking. But for some reason that gave her the idea that she was now part of the show since they were talking to her. So there was a lot of rapport with the audience that wasn't necessarily built into the show. Anyway, most of the comedians dealt with it fine. The headliner did not. He outright basically, said to this lady, "You and I are now in a toxic relationship, blah, 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 blah." He wasn't doing very well. And he had this one joke, and he, not only was he not doing really well, he left. He left the building. Boom. As soon as it was over, he was done. Which was too bad because he was on the verge of being funny so many times. He just wasn't quite. Now, first off, I'm not a comedian, right? I'm not. But he had this one sketch or skit or bit where he was talking about how he was reading War and Peace. And then he went off about how he's such a size queen when it comes to books. Give me that big book. Give me that big Moby Dick. Stretch my mind out. He's going off on these little sexual double entendres in regards to, in regards to how he likes big books. But he didn't finish off his statement, which to me was the logical punchline. So he's like, give me that big Moby Dick, stretch my mind. And then to me, he should have said, I like big books and I cannot lie. I like big books and I cannot lie. To me, that was the perfect punchline to what he was trying to say. And given the Seattle audience that he was working with and the age range that he was working with, I like big books and I cannot lie would have been funny. I really am convinced it would have been funny. Nice little Sir Mix-a-Lot reference. We're in Seattle, Sir Mix-a-Lot. And so I wanted to find him afterwards, just be like, dude, add this one line to your end. But why would he take anything from an audience member anyway? But seriously, it could have been fun. He could have been funny. And so, yes. So, it looks like we've got a new chatter here. Thank you, FNC Mind. My name is Mad Statter, and I don't know if that's as beautiful as I am, but thank you so much for the compliment. And it looks like we've got a hype train situation going on. Looks like, as I was jibber-jabbering away about how maybe not funny the comedians were, some of them were, but the dude before the headliner killed it. He should have been the headliner. He was funny. But I think it was the headliner that got into the car accident. So it was sort of a hit or miss thing on who's gonna take the wheel. And the guy who took the wheel probably shouldn't have. So as I'm talking about how unfunny, I had a great time, but yeah, it really wasn't. There was a lot of unfunny moments. While I was telling you about that, Andre threw down a 5-pack of subscriptions to all the folks and all the peoples, plus 300 biddies. And then we've got Nani Aloha. Hey, Nani, good to see you. Throwing down 100 biddies. We've got ourselves a bit of a hype train, and Andre threw down 300 more biddies, and it looks like maybe even 300 more biddies. And now I'm going to go back and see all the things that everyone was chatting about while I was busy talking about how funny the unfunny comedy guy was. So let's see here. Bar seems nicer than BART train. Andre says, Mad Statter, a bar seems nicer than the BART trains, and after $6 gas a gallon, I'm assuming, in the Bay Area, at least they're still wearing masks 99%. Well, like I said, some people were wearing masks, some people weren't, but it's like, I'm sitting at a bar 20 feet away from everybody else. I don't know. I was drinking beer. I didn't want to have a mask. So, okay. And so Darlene is coming back at me with the answer to my question about her and her sister, and the answer is they're going to be heading out to that Polish store in the next week. And she had her get together with her grandkids and such. Perfect. Darlene. Yeah, exactly. That's rude in my point of view. If you're taking up prime seating and not involved in the acts, comedy or whatever, not right. I agree. Yeah, and they were like right in the front table. It was a big group of them. They were all cousins. One of them was her birthday. Her name was Shauna. Now, Shauna was a delightful woman. She loved my glasses. She loved my hair. She insisted I was her new best friend. She was that drunk girl at the bar. I had to text her my number. I'm sure today she's looking at her phone going, who in the flying fork is Molly? But I'm on her Facebook page. You know, her cousin took a picture of us. So that was good. But Shauna was quiet, but her cousins, they were very poorly behaved. Let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, when you saw George Carlin in the 80s, the opening comedian totally owned it and was as good as Carlin. Never heard of the guy before or since, for that matter. Right, yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing with comedians. I mean, even if you're completely involved in the comedy scene, you know, when it comes to such local acts, there's such a huge number of people that are going into, you know, that are around. You can't possibly know who everybody is, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does in the sense that if you know you like this comedian, you know you like his style, then obviously you want to go. But seriously, to me, if you're looking for something to do on a night out and you want to go see a show, to me, a comedy show is like one of the safest things you can do, because you don't necessarily know if the band that you're going to go see, you like them. But with comedy, even if you've never heard of the person, chances are they're going to make you laugh, right? I mean, I don't know. Let's see here. Thank you so much more for the more of the pitties there. Andre and Medium 7-Up coming in with all the shamrocks. Fantastic. We love it. This hype train is level 3 already. Awesome. How did that happen? And let's see here. So good to see you, Medium 7-Up. Glad that you are coming in. And Kenny from the Cove, thank you so much. Let's see here. Pacola T, you think Statter should try writing her hand at a weekly column? My cheeky perspective on life would make for fun reading. Well, I will tell you what, part of the reason, I will confess, part of the reason why I did want to go to this show was because I did used to do open mic comedy back in the day. And so I kind of was thinking like, okay, it might be fun to get back up on stage, right? So I wanted to just remind myself of what that meant. And oh my God, after watching the show last night, I had a good time, okay? I had a good time. Whew, but I did get to see some of the comedians struggling on stage, and I did get to see what an extremely bad audience was like. And I'll tell you, I think I like the idea of writing a weekly column way better than my idea that I had, which was maybe I'll go get on stage and go put a mic in my hand and make people laugh because, yeah, no, that's really hard. I mean, like, that's really hard work, dude. Don't even, I mean, I always knew it was hard. It was hard back then, but after last night, it was just like, it was the reality check that I was very happy to be reminded of. And Andre, I think you nailed it. Lockdown is hard on manners. Abso-flippin'-lutely. Darlene, you have to download more biddies so you can give. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Thank you so much. No worries. No worries. Yeah. And so it was a great night. And if you guys really like get up the nerve, maybe go out-ish if you want. I mean, I have to tell you, man, I had the jitters. I mean, I almost didn't go. I was so nervous about going. And I'll tell you what, yeah, this is probably the, the confession of, I don't know, an alcoholic or something, but it took me like 2 beers before I felt comfortable in the bar. Like, it was just like, whew, yeah, I gotta calm the flying fork down because I'm a little jittery here. It was just, yeah, I can't, so I can't just be telling you all like, oh yeah, go out. It's fun. It's worth it. Oh no, you're going to have to prep. It's going to take some mental prep. And then 2 or 3 days from now, when I'm going to be obsessively sticking swabs up my nose at any sneeze or cough that I might have, because I'm sure I'll be sick with the COVID, right? I mean, I know that right now I'm not freaking out, but I know that in like 3 days from now, or however long it takes for, symptoms to show up, I'm going to just be, I'm so thankful that my county has free tests that you can pick up at the library, 2 per day per household. And the ones that I've been getting in the mail right now, I've stockpiled 13 tests. And I'm sure by the end of next week, I will have gone through all of them just to make sure I didn't get it. But, hopefully I didn't. And yeah, Darlene, it is hard. Any type of act, musical, comedy, whatever, aren't easy for sure. But at least like with music, you don't like, I don't know, I guess I can't say, I'm not a musician, so you know what, I can't say. But all I can say is there really is nothing worse than standing up on stage, trying to make people laugh, and you're just greeted with stony silence. I mean, I suppose musicians that are greeted with stony silence, it might also be awkward, but I feel like when you're expecting that interaction between, the joke, the laugh, the joke, the laugh, and you don't get that. Like I said, I'm not a musician. I don't know which is more awkward, but for me, it seems like the comedian just with the being met with silence is just, a nightmare. A bloody flippin' nightmare. And Andre, thank you so much for the 300 biddies. We are on level 4 hype train. Holy flirking snit. That's craziness, you guys. So let's see here. Oh, neat, Rick. Your niece runs a comedy shop in Greensboro, North Carolina. Funny must run on that side of the family. Nice, nice. And yeah, Picola tea, you've got it. That's exactly it. I'm going to be every 2 hours, every sign of any sniffle or whatever, I'm going to be sticking a swab up my nose. And it's like, why is your nose bleeding? Because it's my 18th COVID test in the last 10 minutes. That's why. Yeah. And Darlene, okay, you and Rick went out to an actual restaurant. Oh, good for you. I'm so proud of you. This is so silly, I know, but here we are. This is where we're at, right? And you were a bit leery, but that was 5 or 6 days ago and no signs of anything. Oh, fingers crossed that's going to be what's happening to me, hopefully. So let's see here. Andre, it's even harder now with bad manners bred in lockdown. I got into a yelling match with an aggro woman in a car. I was ready to fight about it. I got called Colonel Sanders for some reason, and also accused of being unemployed. And I thought that was funny that you got called a white guy with glasses and a white suit, although you do have white hair and a goatee. I still do. That is kind of funny. I mean, honestly, dude, seriously, if that's the worst insult that you can throw at me is calling me Colonel Flippin' Sanders, I'm just going to point and laugh at you. That is funny. And, yes. Okay. So medium 7-Up. So medium 7-Up is coming in with some truth that is maybe backing up my perspective. Medium 7-Up, musicians aren't expecting any particular response except listening, really. While Comic's goal is a very specific, making people laugh. Right. And so when you're met with that silence, it's just a little bit, it's a notch in the awkward direction, more so than when it's music. So let's see here. Kenny, when you went to see Dropkick Murphys, you got over your pandemic crowd fears by the time the Rumjacks hit the stage. By then, I was totally caught up in the moment. Cool. That's super awesome. That is super awesome. I definitely, I did wonder, actually, like, I did use your Dropkicks experience as like, well, if Kenny can go to a crowded concert, I can at least try to go to this not so crowded comedy show. So, yeah, so there you go. I sounded a tad like Ron White there for a second. That would be Ron Tater Salad White, I'm assuming. And I don't know exactly what you're referring to. Probably the Confessions of an Alcoholic. Would be what it was that I said that sounded a little like Ron White. So let's see here. Oh, hey, dude. Vanilla Coke Pepsi, good to see you. And yeah, I'm just going off here talking about my evening out, and I don't know if you're asking Medium 7-Up if he dyed his hair, or if you're asking me if I dyed my hair. But yes, I did bleach the roots again and put a new layer of pink in, so my plumage has been updated with the pink tinge. Although I am thinking of adding some purple. So I don't know whether or not I will, but that is bubbling in the back of my brain there. And let's see here. So it looks like we've got a request here. It looks like we've got a request here from Nani Aloha. And the funny thing is, didn't have a whole lot of much to talk about today. I went through, I tried to, I didn't do anything this weekend. It was the best weekend ever. I had so much time to prep for the show. And you know what I did? I slept. You know what else I did? I went and did laundry. I went and did miscellaneous things of mindless, inconsequential stuffishness instead of doing my homework like I should have. And so I didn't really do a whole lot. But what I did do is I downloaded a Lono video that we could watch today. And it looks like maybe people might be interested in watching that Lono video. So what I'm going to do right now is put on a Lono video that we can watch, and then we'll come back and we'll listen to more Lono music, because Lono, as everybody probably knows, is the music that is almost always playing in the background. The only time it's not playing in the background is when I forget to unmute it, but yeah, there we go. So let's pop a Lono video on and I'll turn my mic off and chat with you in the chat. There you have it. Alrighty there. We've got ourselves a little Lono video. And Pecola tea, I'm very curious. I have not heard about the movement or the idea to change Captain Cook, the town or the area, to an actual Hawaiian name. But I'm not surprised that that movement or that idea is fomenting. And I do hope maybe that it ends up happening. I know that, it was successfully changed from Mount McKinley to Denali, which was the indigenous term for the mountain that was formerly known as Mount McKinley up in Alaska. And, in reference to what Vanilla Coke Pepsi was talking about, which Columbus Day, which is for the Italians and very controversial in the United States, you understand. That is correct. You do understand correctly, Vanilla Coke Pepsi. And part of the reason why Columbus Day is so controversial is, first off, he didn't really discover America. So, like, celebrating him for something he actually didn't do is just sort of silly. And then there is the reality of what he did do, which, if you read into the history, was kind of awful. So to celebrate him for that is weird. And then also, Columbus Day isn't actually that old of a holiday. I don't remember exactly when it came to be, but it was petitioned by an Italian American group to the federal government to create this holiday. It's less than 100 years old, from my understanding. And for the most part, the city of Seattle, the city of Burien, I'm not sure about the state of Washington per se, but I know that the city of Seattle and the city that I'm in Burien, they don't recognize Columbus Day. They do take the day off. It's a federal holiday, but instead it's Indigenous Peoples Day. It is not Columbus Day. So people are town by town, city by city, people are still celebrating Columbus Day because it is a federal holiday, but they are removing the Columbus association with that day and are treating it as a day to recognize Indigenous people and the land that we share or have taken from them, basically. Yeah, the natives were exactly. The natives were already here, and technically the Vikings were the first Europeans. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people, Vanilla Coke Pepsi. Yeah, a lot of people hit the American shores before Columbus did. So, like, that whole discovered America trope is just, it's tired, it's old, and everyone knows that it's false. There's so many layers of how it's false that it's just sort of silly to continue perpetuating this lie that, it's not based in reality. And so, and then there was, and then there's the factor of, like, what was based in reality and what he did do was really not, wasn't really awesome, I mean, so, let's see here. Let's see here. Darlene, yeah, no problem. I love that video. That video of Molokai IWI Band was, I don't know who took the footage. I can only assume there's a filmmaker on Molokai known as Molokai Matt. He's got a YouTube channel, and if you are interested in anything and everything Molokai, you need to check out Molokai Matt. I'm going to assume that a lot of that footage was shot by Molokai Matt, but I do know that the video itself, okay, when I say the footage, I mean the footage of Molokai, obviously not the footage of IWI Band in the studio, but the footage, all of that video was edited by Vic, the bass player in IWI Band, and I can tell you right now, if I can get half as good at video editing as Vic is, I will consider myself, well, I won't consider myself much, but I'll consider myself, I'll be proud of myself. How about that? I'll be very proud of myself. So let's see here. Pecola T is saying Ka'avaloa. Is that how maybe it's supposed to be said? and is the name proposed by the state legislatures to cancel Captain Cook from indigenous lands. That seems, I mean, he's got a monument. It's like we don't need to name the city, the town, the whatever. He's got his own monument. And the monument can stay. It's an important monument. You got, yeah, this is where it happened. But I don't, yeah, I'm my voice and opinion does not matter in this circumstance. However, I agree with that that attempt, and I do hope that the legislature does act on it this time. And let's see here. And so yeah, Andre. Okay, so Andre was saying that he slept just a few feet from the Captain Cook monument when he was a kid. Yes, because apparently Andre and his mom decided that they were going to go camping, and there was some like storm warning or something, and the monument was like the highest point, all 1.5 feet above sea level or whatever, but it was still the highest point, and so they had to like scurry to the highest piece of land that they were on. I think that's, I always think that that's sort of funny. So, let's see here. All right. So Vanilla Coke Pepsi talking about how the Vikings were, nightmare inducing monsters to the natives. Probably true. Probably true. Little short white men with blue eyes. Yep. There you go. Andre, the snorkeling is great by the monument. Yeah, it is and it isn't. There's been a lot of bleach reefing. No, it's not it. Reef bleaching. That's the phrase. Reef bleaching, and it's not nearly as lively as it used to be. I mean, it is a neat place to snorkel, but I'd be willing to bet that it was a lot better when you were there than when I was there. But I did enjoy, kayaking across that bay. That was definitely fun. I don't know. It's not so much that they send I don't even know if they send boats there anymore. You have to kayak out to it now. But it's, it's everybody with their stuff, the stuff that they're not allowed to sell anymore on the islands. That thing. Sunblock. That's the phrase I'm looking for. That's the word I'm looking for. I think it's just, too many people in the water with the poison sunblock. I mean, it might be because of the boats too, but honestly, I didn't see any boats there the whole time that I was there, other than the kayaks that people paddled out there. I didn't see any, commercial gas-powered, engine-powered vehicles. Vessels, I guess, is actually what the term is on the water. But you know what? I definitely don't know what I'm talking about in regards to that. I could have gone on like the one day that they just don't have any trips, and every other day there's like a quadrillion boats there, actually, now that I think about it. But I can tell you, like, there was no commercial, other than the kayak rentals, there was no commercial, and engine powered vessels in that area. There we go. And yes, that's right, Picola T. Yes, Ossifer, there's too much bleach reefing here. I just came back from my optometrist. Nothing to see here, Ossifer. Nothing to see here. Let's see here. Oh, really, eMusic? There's also a shark in cave in the water by the monument. Well, I don't like to know that. I mean, really? Well, I'm glad I found that out now instead of then when I was there. Huh, yeah. So let's see here. Andre, you're saying you camped and Napopo as a kid. I'm assuming you meant at Napopo, and there was a horse there that wandered around the campground, even went into the bathrooms. That's kind of funny. Lots of sharks on the Kona side. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know. Yeah, I wouldn't, I didn't see any. What I noticed though, and this, I could totally be wrong. And I'm curious, folks who live on the islands and who've been to other islands, etc., tell me if I'm completely making this up, but to me, Hawaii Island had more Vana than any other island I have ever been to in the Hawaiian island chain. I don't even think I saw any Vana when I was in Maui. Like, but every beach I went to on Hawaii Island, there was like, oh, don't go swimming in that tide pool. Oh, nope, careful with that rock. Oh, careful with that, blah, blah, blah. There was more Vana than I just, is it that way? Or was that just like my luck of the draw that I ran into every single piece of Vana that Hawaii Island had to offer? It just seems like that Vana on the Hawaii Island is way more prolific than any of the other ones. So I'm kind of cool. I'm kind of cool. Sorry, I was reading a different, reading something that Darlene just wrote. So I'm kind of curious if my perception is, correct or not. So, let's see here. So wait, I think. Oh, here we go. So I did. Okay. So eMusic, you were told he's a friendly shark, but my body wouldn't let me get in the water with a shark. I can appreciate that logic. I mean, I don't really know what you mean by, like, explain to me what you mean by a friendly shark and how did you determine that? Like, how did you decide? Right? Vana, it's the WANA. It's the black spiky sea urchin. The sea urchin with the black spikes that hurt you when you touch them. So eMusic, okay, clearly wherever you're from doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of Vana because you didn't even know what I was talking about. Okay, right. Yeah, so I don't know. No, that's Vanna. That's Vanna Vanilla Coke Pepsi. Vanna White is the woman from not The Price is Right. It's the woman from Wheel of Fortune. But I knew what you were talking about. And yeah, no, she's Vanna, whereas Vana is actually WANA. It's Hawaiian word, and it's the black sea urchin-y things. Okay, so eMusic, you were told by a diver who goes there daily. All right, well, I guess if I'm going to hear that a shark is friendly from anybody, it's going to be that kind of person, but no, I still don't know. No. Right, Picola T. Vanna is pretty. Vana is prickly. That's exactly it. So, okay, well then, eMusic, how did you not know what Vana is then if you've lived most of your life on Hawaii Island? That's what I don't understand. Is what, like, how did you, like, because to me, Hawaii Island was just a bountiful Vana paradise. If you were into Vana, it's where you Vana be. Ha ha ha. But ching. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Don't forget to tip the waitresses. But seriously though, I didn't like the Vana. Let's see here. Okay, so Darlene and Picola T. So Vanilla Coke Pepsi is in denial about what can or cannot happen in big water lakes. And Picola T is just like, dude, no, enclosed freshwater can be pretty scary as well. And Darlene's coming in. Yes, there you go. There are some nasty things that are in the lakes, but I'll tell you what, I don't like most lakes because most lakes, not all the lakes, but a lot of lakes, are squishy. Like if it's a clear lake or if it's, with rocks and gravel on the bottom, I'm good to go. But the moment there's muck at the bottom of the lake, no. E-music, yeah, maybe you do know it, but do you know what I'm talking, you might know it by a different name, but you do know what I'm talking about, right? The blacks, I mean, they're black, and they're sea urchins, and like, the spikes are kind of thick. They're not like little needles. They're like sort of beefy spikes. I wonder if I can, well, we'll see. So, yeah, so sturgeons, I don't know if there's sturgeons in lakes. I suppose there's sturgeons in lakes, especially if it's a dammed lake. I do know that the sturgeons are in rivers though, and I got pushed around in a river by a sturgeon once, and it got me back in the boat, and I didn't get back in the water that day. And so and yeah, water snakes, no, not a fan of the water snakes. And yeah, Pecola T, first time you saw kids swimming in the Mississippi, all muddy and murky, you freaked out a little bit. I wouldn't, yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't want to, no, if I can't see, yeah. Muddy water freaks me right the fork out, you know? I mean, it's like, I don't know if there's leeches in there. I don't know what's in there. I don't, nope. And Darlene, there are some nasty snakes, bigger fish with sharp teeth, and yes, the lake with mucky bottoms are a thing, not like reef and open ocean. Yeah, exactly. It's just it's okay, well, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, that's so cute. The Great Lakes have always been pretty clean. In your lifetime, maybe, honey, but no, they did not. No, oh no, the Great Lakes used to be disgusting and gross. Lake Erie was a cesspool for a smidgen of a little bit, but that was long before you were born, so I forgive you for not knowing that, but no. The Great Lakes have not always been pristine and clean. Let me tell you that. That's for sure. So Vanilla Cook Pepsi. Okay, no one likes Lake Erie. All right, see, there you go. There you go. Oh, hey, yes, awesome, Marmac, coming on in. Aloha all, just joining the party. Agreed. No muck for me. Ew, that is exactly it. I mean, I just I can't, because here's the deal. If I can't walk into the lake because of the muck on the bottom, then I don't want to jump into the lake off the dock, even if that means I don't have to touch the bottom. Well, I'm still gonna have to touch the bottom when I'm coming out of the lake. Just, nope. Nope. So let's see here. Yeah, Andre, exactly. Parts of the Great Lake caught on fire back in the 70s. So yeah, the Great Lakes have definitely not always been that that clean. And Andre, you're asking, have I ever been to those alpine granite lakes? I don't know what you mean by granite lakes, but I have been to a few alpine lakes, and I will say that Yellowstone Lake is quite possibly the most wonderful lake I've ever been to. It has the tiniest little pea gravel at the bottom, and it's just, it's like if God said to me, hey, make a lake to your specifications, I think that that the Great Lakes would be, not the Great Lakes, the Yellowstone Lake would probably be as close to a lake made to my specifications that there ever is. So yeah. And all rocks with little rocky islands in the middle of that. No, I don't know where are those in California? I don't know what lakes you're talking about. I have not been I have not been to them as far as I know. So and let's see here. Well, and Rick, you're right. It's not the lake's fault. Bad treatment choices and lack of funding is why Michigan had those bad water problems. Absolutely. And like Vanilla Coke Pepsi was saying, like the lakes are a lot cleaner now, and that's super awesome. But yeah, in fact, actually, I'd be willing to bet that if the water was nice and clean and not murky, I think the the pictures I've seen of some of the shoreline of the Great Lakes look like it would be a lake I would be comfortable with walking in, because it looks like it's a sandy beach in some places. It's not mucky in some places, at least. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe in some places it was. I mean, they're big lakes after all. So, but yeah, but only, you know, only, only if they're not, say, Lake Erie or Lake Michigan. And so, oh, they're in the Sierra. Yeah, no, I've definitely never been to those lakes then, Andre. I haven't spent a whole lot of time in the Sierra Nevadas, oddly enough. And pelicans, you know, wait, I don't know what you're saying about pelicans versus penicillin, but pelicans are kind of scary. They're super huge, and the way their beak, chin, pouch stretches kind of freaks me out, dude. Marmac, yes, Lake McDonald inside of Glacier is famous for the multicolored rock bottom. Beautiful. That I've seen that pictures of that lake, and honestly, I have to say I never should go there, because I will steal the rocks. I will. And I know. That's rude. You don't want to do that. It's probably against the law. You know better. I know better. Would I do it still? Yes, dude. Those rocks are so flippin' pretty. I wouldn't be able to stop myself. I would just, handfuls and pocketfuls of rocks from the bottom of that lake, I would steal them all. I would. It's not something I would be proud of. It's not something I would brag about when it was done. It's something I would feel shame for the rest of my life. But I would still do it. I would still do it. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm very specifically not saying you should do it. But I would. Is there a way down to Crater Lake, or can you just look down at them? I think that there's accesses to Crater Lake, but I don't know, actually. I've never been to Crater Lake. Just seen plenty pictures of it from Oregon. And so Kenny's coming in at Stillhouse Lake in my area. They have gators, alligator gar, huge catfish, villages and cemeteries on the bottom, and intoxicated people. Talk about sketchy stuff in a lake. Yeah, no doubt, dude. So I'm going to assume there, Kenny, that Stillhouse Lake is a lake that's man-made lake created from a dam, which is why there's villages and cemeteries at the bottom of the lake. And alligator gar, I didn't know that we had those here. I knew that they have them in India. And holy crumb, dude. Alligator gar are not something that I want to cross paths with. I don't want to cross paths with an alligator either. But alligator gar, I think, are just as likely to eat a human as a flippin' alligator is. And yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. Kenny from the Cove, Pocola Tea, don't worry. Gators are harmless once you fry them. There we go. So Vanilla Coke Pepsi says dogs, pelicans, penguins, and door-to-door salesmen scare you. Well, we probably have good reason for almost all the things to scare you, except for the penguin part. But I'll let you have that one. Although I will say that the emperor penguins, the ones that are like 85 feet tall, okay, they're like 3 feet tall. Whatever, dude. I would probably be a little bit intimidated by one of those big penguins as well. Vanilla Coke Pepsi, one day you want to just buy one of those eagle glove things and go to a dog park and start looking up and start calling for your eagle. Well, if you're going to do that, you're going to... This is why I'm a bad influence. So if you're going to do that, you're going to want to make the joke funnier by going to the small dog park. Oftentimes dog parks have different sections for the bigger dogs and then for the smaller dogs for safety reasons. And if you can find one of those dog parks, you're going to want to go to the small dog section and then with the glove and then calling your eagle, because that would actually make the joke a little bit funnier. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, Darlene, exactly. At least I'm honest with you. It's like I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Darlene, have you seen the rocks at the bottom of this lake? If you don't want those rocks in your houseplants showing off the little pretty rockiness, and yeah, Marmek from Friends experience, those rocks never look as good in as they do in the lake. No, because they've got to be wet. The rocks always look better when they're wet, and they look the most magical when they're in the lake, which is another reason why I know I shouldn't steal them, because what's the point? They're not going to be as pretty. It doesn't matter. Still going to do it. Run it through a rock tumbler, see what comes up. Yeah, I'm not proud. I'm not bragging. I'm not proud. I'm not suggesting you live my life, but I know me, and I would steal a handful of those rocks. And a handful at minimum would be what I would. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's see here. Andre, you have an alligator gar at the San Francisco Aquarium. It's been there since you were a kid. Yeah, and it's probably grown twice as big as it was when you were a kid, and it could probably eat you now. So let's see here. Yeah, exactly. Pacola being short, you'd probably see eye to eye with a king penguin or the emperor whatever, the big ones, Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could totally see how a bunch of those really big penguins would be an intimidating sight, now that I think about it. And right, Darlene, exactly. You'd want to use it in a water feature, maybe. Don't give me ideas. Don't give me ideas. And Vanilla Coke Pepsi, you want a peregrine falcon, so all the Chihuahuas and their crusty owners will live in fear of me. No offense to Chihuahua owners. I actually had 2 Chihuahuas rescues, and one of them probably wouldn't have been able to be taken by a peregrine falcon because she was a corgi Chihuahua mix, so she was kind of chunky. But the other one, yeah, probably could have been taken out by a peregrine falcon. Totally. Yep. Yeah, exactly, Kenny from the Cove. Pelicans look so awesome when they're diving for fish in the morning surf, but walk by one on a pier piling when they spread their wings and start hissing at you. Pelicans are not so cuddly. Yeah, and the brown ones, I think there's white ones and brown ones. I think I've only seen the brown ones in San Diego. They're flipping huge. I mean, they are huge. Peregrine falcons are just bird killers. Oh, okay, well then whatever. It would be another kind of bird of prey that would have taken out the Chihuahua. And Darla would have gone fighting the whole way. She had such an attitude. I loved Darla, but she was a Chihuahua. And when I say she was a Chihuahua, I mean that with all the implications that go with that. That applied to her. Yes. Oh, yes. She was a Chihuahua. In fact, there was some people that I couldn't, she was like, what, 11 pounds at most. And there was 2 people, 2 of my friends, she hated them. And it got to the point where it's like, I can't have you come over anymore because she will bite you. And it's not like she would bite them aggressively or even to break the skin. But seriously, dude, she would bite their Achilles heel. She'd sneak in behind them and just nip their Achilles heel. And that was her little go-to move. It's kind of brilliant, actually. But after a while, it was just like, look, man, you don't trust my dog. I don't trust my dog around you. That energy it becomes a vicious circle. This is her house, not your house. So you're just going to need to not come over anymore until I find a new home for her. You can't come over. Sorry. Yeah. Well, and Vanilla Coke Pepsi. And if you had drop kicked that dog, I would have called the cops on you and kicked you out of my house. there you go. But in my county, that would have actually gotten you a jail sentence. So you probably don't want to drop kick anybody's dog when you're when you're in King County. But yeah, exactly. Pacola T, literally nipping at their heels. I mean, It was brilliant, because she's a tiny dog. It's not like she can get much higher, but she sure as heck, knew how to, she knew how to do it. And Vanilla Coke Pepsi, no, it's not self-defense, it's animal cruelty, period, end of story. I mean, like, you could argue it if you want, but the charge is still, like, for real. We had there didn't used to be any animal cruelty laws in my county, and there was this beloved, I want to say it was a donkey in Bellevue, that everybody loved this donkey, everybody knew of this donkey, and it ended up getting beaten to death by a bunch of kids. And don't do that. Don't do that. After that happened, huge amounts of animal cruelty laws got passed in my county, and basically, you look at a dog wrong, and you're maybe gonna get in trouble for doing stuff. Now, granted, dogs aren't allowed to go around biting people either, but I wouldn't want to have to explain to the judge just how it all went down, because I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure you'd come out on the winning side of that in this particular county. So, and yeah, exactly. I know people that would do you in if you hurt their dog. Yeah, precisely. It's just like, and before I called the cops on you and kicked you out of my house, I might beat you with my cast iron pan. So, how did he end up? How did he end up on the front lawn, bloodied and concussed? I don't know, officer. Hey, Cindy Krause, how are you? We are talking about chihuahuas. We're talking about birds of prey. We're talking about eagles. No, not eagles, because that's a bird of prey. And we didn't even talk about eagles. We're talking about rocks and how I would steal all the rocks from the bottom of the pretty colored rock lake. That's right. And we're talking about alligator gars. We're talking about all sorts of stuff. And let's see here. Yeah, your brother had a dog, and that was a little bit of a mean little Bithka, Darlene, as it were, a Bithka. And yeah, that Darla was the Chihuahua that I fostered for a while. And yeah, she was a mean little Bithka. That is correct. That is correct. And let's see here. Andre, the Donkey of Bellevue sounds like a movie. Honestly, I think there might have been like a little half-hour special that they made about it. Let's see here. And Marmac, your last kitty would swirl the water dish with a paw. Your last kitty would swirl the water with the paw in her water dish until it went into the floor. And then would she drink it off the floor? That wouldn't surprise me. Or would she drink it off of her paw? I love it when kitties dip their hand in their hand. Whatever. Get their little paw wet and then they drink out of their paw. I think that's so darn cute. And there we have it. Oh yeah, we're talking about penguins too. And now penguins aren't very scary, except for some of them are really scary. And yeah, well, after being assaulted by a dog, yeah, that makes sense. But here's the deal, dude. Drop kicking a dog isn't gonna solve the fear that you have of them, nor is it going to decrease the likelihood of another attack happening. Because I'll tell you what, dude, you can drop kick a dog and dogs can still sometimes come back at you. And now they're going to be even more pissed at you. And they're going to be more angry and more aggressive. So you just, as much as you hate the dogs, dude, you just need to learn to chill with them. Because dogs, their strength to pound ratio, cats too, their strength to pound size ratio is way different than humans. I mean, anybody who's ever tried to wrestle a 7-pound cat into a cat carrier can tell you that 7 pounds can be mighty strong when they really want it to be. Marmac, yeah, Kitty would drink from her paw. It was fun to watch. Exactly. I knew that's what you were going to say. Yes. And yeah, Andre, pit bulls can be the most loving dogs that you've ever met. Oh, for sure. I'm not really that afraid of pit bulls. That being said, they are strong animals, and any dog of that size you need to be respectful of. But in regards to some of the friendliest dogs I've ever met, without a doubt, pit bulls, without a doubt. Yeah, and vanilla Coke Pepsi, a pit bull mixed with a Rottweiler, that's a scary situation for sure. And it sounds like that dog's person wasn't in as good of control as they should have been, because the fact of the matter is, a Rottweiler, a German Shepherd, an Akita, a pit bull, a Queso Pranario, all of these Presa Canario, excuse me, all of these dogs are a Tosu Inu. All of these dogs are very strong and basically kind of the equivalent of a weapon, of a gun. And you need to know how to use it. You need to know how to take care of it. You need to keep it under your control at all times, especially when there's little kids around, because the whole eyeball level situation with a lot of dogs is a recipe for disaster, which is why a lot of kids do end up getting attacked by larger dogs, because they're at the same eye level, and it messes with the dog's threat perception. So, that really sucks that that dog's person was maybe not as well controlled as it should have been. Yeah. And Picola T, do you remember Ivan the gorilla at the Tacoma's B&I store? He lived a sorry life in a cage, but eventually got to retire to Atlanta Zoo. There's a children's book about him, and you read that a movie might be in the works. I didn't. Okay. So many things, Picola T. First off, no, I never saw Ivan because it was too sad. I already I knew about him. He was a staple of the Tacoma B&I scene since I was a child. He was a feature there. I always was just too heartbroken I never wanted to go to that store to see the gorilla. That was just not my thing. It was very nice when they finally, got him a better place to live. I did know that there's a book, but I didn't know that there's going to be a movie, and I hope that there is, but I probably won't see it because I'll cry. That's what'll happen. And Kenny from the Cove, I kind of agree with Bugs Bunny. Penguins is practically chickens, is a quote from old Bugs Bunny cartoon. I kind of agree, except for those really big king ones or emperor ones or whatever, the ones that are 85 feet tall. Those are bigger than chickens. Yeah. So Darlene, you was telling Vanilla Coke Pepsi, I got bit bad from a German Shepherd, and we knew him. It was a hot day right after school, heading home, stopped to say hi, and that time got bit. Scary, but you still love dogs. They to me show emotion. Gosh, Darlene, that really is, now see, that is a bit of a problem. The dog that you knew bit you. That makes me wonder, what prompted that? Was the dog startled? Was the dog ill? Was the dog injured? Was the dog, that's weird that a dog that knows you would bite you, unless of course you were encroaching upon its territory, and as an ignorant child you might have done that. I do know that and I think I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. My friend Matt had a dog named Mr. Dog, and when I say Mr. Dog, I mean, yeah, that's Mr. Dog to you and to me and everybody. That's Mr. Dog. Mr. Dog was an Akita, super smart. He was with Matt all the time. Matt was at my friend Jonathan's house. I was walking over to Jonathan's house, down the alleyway to get to their front door. It's just the way it was. And Mr. Dog was in the yard. Now, this is an unfenced yard, but the yard demarcated between the alleyway and the yard with railroad ties. So I'm walking down the alleyway, and Mr. Dog, who knows me, sees me, and is wagging his tail, and is all super stoked and happy to see me, and I'm super stoked and happy to see him, and he's Mr. Dog. How you doing, Mr. Dog? I love you, Mr. Dog. Blah, 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 blah. And then as soon as I got up to the railroad tie, Mr. Dog completely changed his stance and was like, yeah, I know that I know you. But my person is in that house, and you don't need to be in the yard of the house that my person is in. So why don't you just stay in the alleyway? And until my person says it's okay for you to come in the yard, you don't need to come in the yard. This is a conversation Mr. Dog and I had silently. I knew what he was saying. He knew I knew what he was saying. It was all good. At which point I then shouted, "Matt, Mr. Dog won't let me in the yard." And Matt had to come out and take care of Mr. Dog. So Darlene, right, the owner was surprised, but he said he was barking just a bit earlier and heard kids' voices, came out and saw kids leaving, but thinks that they were provoking the dog. Right, okay, see, yeah, I was just like, that dog, something was happening with that dog for that to have happened. That doesn't sound like a natural state that the dog was in. I hope that, I know that in a lot of jurisdictions, maybe not back then, but nowadays, that type of thing, if you had reported it to the pound, might have gotten that dog put to sleep. I hope that's not the case. I'm not a fan of like dogs randomly biting people. On the other hand, sometimes you have to take into consideration what it was why the dog bit somebody. And sometimes the dog has a darn good reason why they did. Now, other times the dog does not have a darn good reason, in which case, But it sounds like there might have been maybe not a darn good reason, but a reason. Let's see here. Bacola T, just to lighten things up, saw a hand-scrawled sign in front of someone's yard yesterday. "Keep out, big dog." Enough said. There you go. That's exactly it. Let's see here. Okay, so, and then eMusic was saying the dog got startled when your father yelled at me. By the way, the sister was not Nani Aloha. I have two sisters. There you go. Okay. And, Andre asks Vanilla Coke Pepsi, "So let me get this straight. You're scared of penguins, but not ostriches or cassowary, birds that are known killers." Yeah, okay, I will tell you this, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, and I'm definitely not trying to tell you what you should be afraid of, but you should be afraid of cassowaries. If you're not afraid of a cassowary, you're clearly not aware of what a cassowary is or can do. So let me just tell you right now, you need to be afraid of cassowaries. You don't necessarily have to be afraid of the ostriches if you don't want, because some people eat ostrich and you can think to yourself, "I'm gonna eat you. I don't gotta be afraid of you." But when it comes to cassowaries, yeah, no, just be afraid. Be very, very afraid. And Marmac, "The only dog bite was Black Lab when you were smaller than her. Startled her when invited to climb fence by neighbor's mom. Dog was sleeping, startled, bit me on the lip." Yeah, there you go. That's right. See, that's right. See, I'm not suggesting that the dog should have bit you or on the lip. That sort of sucks. But see, there you go. There's a context in which the dog kind of had a right to be on the defensive and to protect his people. I mean, that is what dogs evolved with humans as, I mean, not all of them, obviously. The little lap warmers, like the what are they, the Pekingese or the Pomeranians, well, even still, they'll at least try to defend their person, now that I think about it. Right, exactly, and you couldn't blame the dog. Precisely, yeah. That's exactly it. And then, yeah, Kenny from the Cove, "If you torment the dog, you pretty much deserve a biting." That is exactly it. And that is totally my point. I grew up in a house where my mom was pretty strict about the whole, if a dog bites someone, that dog needs to be put down. Like, that was her attitude. However, there was always the caveat of, "Whoa, but why did the dog bite?" And I'll tell you, we had a neighbor who was, it was like the day after Christmas, and our dog, he was a little cockapoo, just a little guy, and we gave him a little fancy dog bone for him for Christmas, and he was grinding on the dog bone. And the next door neighbor was over at my parents' house. They were drinking. Dude was kind of drunk, I think. And so he was teasing my dog, and he was taking the bone from the dog's mouth and then giving it back, taking the bone, giving it back, taking the bone, giving it back. The dog was not appreciative of this and was very snarly after a few taking of his bones. And my mom said, "Stop doing that, Jack. Pepper's gonna bite ya." And he didn't listen. And lo and behold, Pepper bit him. And Pepper never bit anybody, but Pepper bit Jack because he'd only warned him a quadrillion times, like, "Look, man, this is not cool." And I'll tell you what, as much as my mom was "Oh yeah, dog bites once, gets put down," my mom was just like, "Oh hell no, that guy deserved to get bit." Like, oh no. Oh no, he was warned. Yes, he was warned. And so let's see here. Hey, Malka503, good to see you in the house. We are talking about the random animals you should or shouldn't be afraid of. Vanilla Coke Pepsi thinks that Canadian geese are just as scary as cassowaries. And I have to tell you, you're wrong, dude. No, cassowaries, first off, have razor sharp claws. And they're as tall as you are. I mean, if you think that penguins are big and scary, cassowaries are as big as you are. And when I say they're as big as you are, I really do mean that. Like, they are over 5 feet tall. They are huge birds. And they're flightless birds. So they've got very strong legs. And they use their legs with their razor sharp claws, talons, feet, whatever the heck you want to call them, to hurt people. So, I mean, they will kill you. They will kill you. Canadian geese might be able to kill you, but they're going to have to, like, gang up on you. Whereas one cassowary can kill you. Yeah, exactly. Pocola T. Cassowaries are like geese on steroids with what is it? Roid rage? That's what they are. They are roid rage cassowaries. Canadian geese are bloodthirsty cobra chickens. Well, they are cobra chickens, but still though, they're nothing compared to, well, I mean, come on, Vanilla Coke Pepsi. I don't think I need to explain to you. Cassowaries, right? They're from Australia. What else is from Australia? Everything that's going to kill you. Everything that's going to kill you can be found in Australia. Basically, everything in Australia is deadly. So even their birds, just trust us, man. Just trust us. And yeah, exactly. Kenny from the Cove is talking about the talons. Canadian goose are mean, but they don't have the talons that can cut you. Yeah, exactly. Cut you from a-hole to appetite. That is exactly it. That's actually a really funny from a-hole to appetite. That's from stem to stern. That's a good one. I'm gonna steal that one from you, Kenny. Yeah, cassowaries and ostriches have bad attitudes because they can't fly. Precisely, and ostriches are super strong, but they don't have that razor sharp, like the cassowaries have that thing. It's like a dew claw, only it's a switchblade, for lack of a better term. Whereas ostriches don't quite have the weaponry attached to them the way cassowaries do. Let's see here. Andre, in California, the geese are mellow, maybe in the legal weed and warm weather. Maybe they just don't like Canadians. Let's see here. Andre, they have those psycho New Zealand parrots that trash your car. I don't know. I don't know about the New Zealand parrots that trash your car. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, do they just poop on them? Or do they, like, get in the car and tear it up? Or how do they trash the cars in New Zealand? And so let's see here. Malka, funny story. Had go and 3 goose. Let's see here. Had 3 goose, caught 2, and has one chase me, could not catch him. Yeah, no, I bet. And well, I don't know what kind of goose it is that you're talking about either, though, Malka, because Canadian geese, while sizable, um, aren't nearly as big as the white geese or the gray geese. Good flippin' lord. There is a gray goose that lives, let's see, probably like 6 or 7 blocks from my house. There's a lake that's it's a lake that's maybe like 8 blocks from my house. The house is just a couple blocks from the lake, and they have this gray goose as a pet, and its nest is like along the fence line by the sidewalk. So but it's kind of in the shadows, and you're not expecting a gray goose anyway. So as you walk by the house, the goose just pops out of the shadows and starts hissing at you and just chases you along the fence line. And dude, this goose is like probably 3 feet tall, easy. And its neck, I mean, like, okay, its neck was probably the size of my forearm. And when I say the size of my forearm, I mean, like, I'm a big girl. My forearm is not tiny. It's a big neck. In fact, the Canadian geese, as much of a jerk as they are, of all of the geese that I've interacted with, they're actually the Canadian geese are the most mellow. Like the white geese and the gray geese are way meaner than Canadian geese. And yeah, okay, so Marmac, the non-Canadian geese can be very aggressive. And Darlene, I see we've got all sorts of goose attack stories. Darlene, I got attacked at my aunt's farm with a clutch of geese. The big white long-necked goose, or I should say geese, chased and pecked at your backside and heels, and they are big and huge and hurt. That's exactly it. And my mom used to, when she grew up, one of her friends had a goose for a pet, and that was exactly her story. She hated going over to so-and-so's house. Let's just call her Jennifer. I don't know what her name was. I'm sure it wasn't Jennifer, but let's just say Jennifer was the one with the goose. She hated going over to Jennifer's house because as soon as she opened the front gate to the front door was a beeline of running. Because the goose would basically bite your ass, just, come and bite nip your heels, bite your backside, bite your legs, bite the whatever. And so then she'd be, pounding and knocking on the door and hoping that they'd open the door super fast so she could get in and get away from the goose, because the goose would attack her. It was an attack goose. And, so there you have it. And, let's see here. Andre's saying in the Vietnam War, they used war geese to guard the bridges from Viet Cong drivers. They were the white kind and very territorial and would go after any intruders. Okay, that actually totally makes sense. And then your mom had a swan put its head under her skirt and scared the heck out of her. She did not like swans close to her after that. I wouldn't either. And from my understanding, swans actually aren't that nice either. And regardless of whether or not they're nice, they're still huge. And I would not want a swan to stick its little head up my skirt, because if it's mean like a goose, now suddenly it's close to some sensitive territories. I would totally, yeah, if I was your mom, I'd just be like, I'm only wearing pants if there's a chance of swans, thank you. Good Lord. So, and so, wait a second, though. So Cindy, your dad had two Marco 1 ducks. I don't know what Marco 1 ducks are, but they would sit on the roof over the front lanai and dive bomb the mailman. That's funny. And that doesn't surprise me at all. And yeah, Kenny from the Cove, exactly. The Canadian geese, they'll hiss and honk, but they're not as aggressive as the white ones in my experience. So, let's see here. I really do. I honestly, Goosed has a whole new meaning when it comes to geeses. Actually, I don't think so. I think that's kind of where the goosed term kind of came from, you know? It's what the goose does to you. And it seems like the goose nipping at your back end is its famous move. Um, so, there we go, Andre. Yeah, Canadian geese just do not fight you for your winter coats down here. That's it. Um, and then Kenny from the Cove, can you imagine trying to explain a swan bite on your inner, thigh to the ER tech? Right, exactly. And well, you know what though? What would be funny though is if you're all embarrassed and you're like trying to explain, and then the ER tech's like, "Oh, Fred the Goose got you, huh?" It's like, yeah, you're the third person this week we've seen. Like, they'll know. Right, exactly, Andre. ER Tech are really jaded people. Yeah, chances are it's like, oh, swan bite. Yeah, you're the fourth one we've seen this month. So were you over at old McDonald's farm? Yep, exactly. Kenny from the Cove. You got goose, lady. That's it. That's it. So, hey, C Honda, you're stopping by to say how's it? You're trapped on Terry's bus. Well, that's okay. And actually, that's good to know. Terry's probably still rolling along, and we've only got 2 minutes left. And I never raid because I completely forget to raid. But you know what? We might end up doing a raid over to Terry's bus. So yeah, that's actually what I think we might end up doing today. So fantastic. I'm glad you stopped by to let me know where you're at, because we'll be joining you there in just a few minutes. Yeah, and also, like Picola T says, see Honda, maybe stay on the bus. The goose can't get you there. We're busy talking about how mean birds are. Cassowaries, penguins, geese. Whether or not white geese, gray geese, or Canadian geese are the scariest of the scary, we all agree that they're scary, though. Oh, yeah. We're talking about super exciting stuff, like getting your Christmas goose early. That's what it is. We're getting our Christmas goose early. So, yeah, I think we should raid Terry. However, before we go head off on the raid train, I want to let you guys know that we will be doing things and stuff. We will be having a Satterbox at the cinema next week, and I believe we'll be watching the Joy Luck Club. But I just got this video. It's a Bill Murray video from my library, and it's called Get Low, and that actually might be what we watch instead. We'll talk about that on Wednesday, Chatter with Statter. I hope to see you guys Wednesday, 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Thank you so much for the 400 biddies, Andre. And Whole Bow, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Whole Boy, so I'm just going to call you Boy, even though I know that's not how to pronounce it. I do have earphones, but I do not have earphones on. I am flying blind right now, so much so that my background music isn't on, and I would have known that had I had my earphones on. Thank you so much for reminding me, even though you didn't know, to turn my flippin' music on. And now that I've got the music on, we're gonna go raid most likely, but I can't remember how to raid, so I have to look it up. Hold on one second. Because it's been so long since I raided. Okay, now I remember how to raid. Maybe, we'll see. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm doing it. So, thank you everyone who donated biddies, who donated subscriptions, and thank you everyone for hanging out today. I had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time, and I hope that my little outing yesterday encourages you to maybe go out one day, soon or not, when you're ready. When you're ready, let's go. But until we're ready to go, maybe we can, maybe we can actually, go raid Terry. It looks like we're going to have about 9 viewers or so. And I will hopefully click the raid button now. All right, there we go. Have a great time. I'll see you guys over on the bus. Take care.